One of the biggest mistakes you can make in fantasy football is overpaying due to the previous year's production. Just because a player went off last year doesn't mean they're going to go off this year. So in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at a few players and wondering, can they do it again? That's right, today we're talking about a few players who had huge 2023 seasons and wondering whether or not they can do it again here in 2024. Now, if you've been here for any length of time, you know we like to be scientific AF, which means in order to show my opinion of the likelihood that they repeat that production in 2024, it's time to bust out an eggplant meter. And I want to start today's episode off talking about CJ Stroud, last year's wonder rookie, and going into 2024, he's the current quarterback 6 overall in the consensus rankings. But how do you follow up what was arguably one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen at the quarterback position? I mean, he set the bar pretty damn high in 2023. 4,108 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, added another 167 yards rushing and 3 tutties on the ground, was the offensive rookie of the year, and he missed 2 games. Those numbers could have been even higher. He then not only led the Texans just to the playoffs, but got a playoff win as well. But it's not like the season was some perfect storm. It wasn't all vanilla sensies and apple pie either. His top wide receiver, Nico Collins, he missed 2 games, 95% of another game, and 53% of a 4th game. So basically, 3.5 games Nico Collins missed. But that's not it. What about super rookie Tank Dell? He missed 6 full games and 87% of another game. Basically 7 games. But no, that's not it. How about tight end Dalton Schultz? He missed 2 games. Wide receiver 3 on the team, Noah Brown, he missed 7 full games and 89% of an 8th game. And don't even get me started on the offensive line. They missed a total combined 42 games on the offensive line. I think we can all agree that CJ Stroud could have benefited from having some of these guys on the field just a little bit more. And I think we can all agree that Houston is one of those teams that are kind of on the come up right now, right? They have the 4th highest cap space available at right around $70 million. Now, there were some rumors starting to heat up that Saquon Barkley could go to Houston. That didn't end up happening. Saquon went to Philadelphia, and Houston hasn't really made that big of a splash in free agency here just yet. But it's not like they need to make moves to get better. Remember, with all these pieces we were missing in 2023, if they can just stay healthy in 2024, that's going to be a big enough boost for CJ Stroud as is. So if you're asking me, can CJ Stroud do it again? Abso-damn-lutely he can do it again. Just to hit the same numbers he had last season, he only has to average 242 yards passing and just over 1 touchdown per game. We saw him annihilate those numbers in 2023. So let's pop up the eggplant meter here, because for CJ Stroud, in the likelihood that I think he can do it again, yeah, I'm going 5 out of 5 eggplants. All right, but now we got to talk about a running back, somebody who had a huge 2023. It's Raheem. I'm damn near a must-start Mostert of the Miami Dolphins. Huge 2023, like I just said, but as of right now, finds himself in the consensus rankings at RB28. Now, I do have to start off by saying this, because there's nothing that I can sit here and say that's logical anyway, that leads me to believe that Raheem Mostert is going to go out and score 21 touchdowns once again in 2024. It was those touchdowns that absolutely catapulted him up the fantasy standings on the year. It's the reason he finished as the RB2 overall. Now, I don't want to take anything away from his season. 1,187 yards, solid. That is definitely a number that I think he can do again. But I also can't sit here and act like I don't know that Devin Achane is still a Miami Dolphin. He missed 6 full games in 2023 and only played in single-digit snaps in 2 other games. So basically, he missed 8 games on the season. Because of that, Raheem Mostert had a career high in touches, but that also led to a career low in yards per touch. He wasn't as efficient. But like we said at the start, it all comes down to touchdowns. And on average, Raheem Mostert averaged a touchdown every 11 touches. That number is insane. Let's go ahead and put that into perspective here a little bit. Christian McCaffrey last year also had 21 total touchdowns, but he only scored a touchdown on average every 16 touches. To make it look even better, 2 seasons ago, Austin Eckler had 20 touchdowns and less than 300 touches, but even he only averaged a touchdown every 13.8 touches. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that Raheem Mostert is going to absolutely suck in 2024. More than likely, he's probably going to fly under the radar in fantasy football drafts once again. But the name of this show is, can they do it again? Not, are they going to be solid in 2024? Because when I look at Raheem Mostert and what he did in 2023, and then compare it to what I believe could happen in 2024, the eggplant meter isn't overly excited. We're just going with 1 out of 5 eggplants here. But we got another running back to talk about. It's Rashad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And right now, this dude is the current running back 10 overall in the consensus rankings. And he has to be the #1 bandwagon player of 2023. People were hopping on this dude's sack faster than a Kardashian at a sporting event last season. His efficiency, though, was absolutely atrocious. But damn it, when you get 336 touches and 70 targets, it can make up for your inefficiencies. Now, with that being said, he needs huge volume. He needs a ton of touches. It decreases, and he's going to piss you off that you drafted him top 10 at the position. And I say that because the guy only averaged 3.6 yards per carry. That was 57th in the league among all NFL running backs. Now, a lot of people are going to look at all those targets and going to say, yeah, well, that's only because of Baker. I don't care. Baker's back in Tampa Bay and he's making a butt ton of money. But it really wasn't a Baker Mayfield thing. Last season, Rashad White only got 12 targets more than the season prior with Tom Brady. That's not some drastic difference. Now, we do know this offensive line continues to struggle, and the running back in Tampa Bay is just going to be involved in the pass-catching game, which is great. But Tampa Bay did just lose its offensive coordinator, Dave Canellis, to the Carolina Panthers, and that could lead to a few differences for sure this year in Tampa Bay. Now, we know Mike Evans is back, and that's definitely going to help this overall offense by giving them more scoring opportunities. Gotta love that for Rashad White. But like we said a little bit earlier, it's all going to come down to volume. Last season in 2023, he averaged a hair under 20 touches a game. Only running backs that averaged more touches per contest than Rashad White were Kyren Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley. With the change at the offensive coordinator there in Tampa Bay, we need to be a little bit more cautious in 2024. By all means, Rashad White could pop off again. Top 10, a little bit spicy. Can he do it again in 2024? I'm giving it 3 out of 5 eggplants. Which leads us to a wide receiver that we definitely need to talk about in this show. It's Puka Nacua of the Los Angeles Rams. A huge 2023, a huge rookie season. And right now, he's the current wide receiver 8 overall in the consensus rankings. And how do you have a year like he did in 2023, which is the best season ever for a rookie wide receiver, and then just say, yeah, he's going to do that again? Those are huge shoes to fill. 160 targets, 1,575 total yards. That's going to be hard to match. The 105 receptions and 6 touchdowns, much more doable in my opinion. We do have to remember though that Cooper Kupp missed 5 games and really struggled to be 100% for majority of the season. But there's still something else we need to pay attention to in LA. The Rams made the decision to bring back Demarcus Robinson. He was definitely a bright spot in this offense the end of 2023. He really gained that role later in the season. Multiple games with at least 10 targets, touchdowns in 4 straight games. Now having a full year of Demarcus Robinson, Cooper Kupp, and Kyren Williams, that could eat into a little bit of the volume we saw go the way of Puka Nacua. Now, I honestly believe that we could see somewhere in the neighborhood of a 10 to 15% reduction in production going the way of Puka Nacua. Now, does that mean that I'm a Puka hater? No, not in the slightest. I could easily see Puka having another top 12 season at the position. And even if he were to take a 15% reduction in production, that's still going to put him somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's going to put him right there around 200 fantasy points and a top 12 finish. So when we look at Puka Nacua here for 2024, and we ask ourselves the question, can he do it again? I think he's going to be pretty damn close. As for the eggplant meter, I'm going 4 out of 5 eggplants on this one. But you know I couldn't get through this video without talking about a tight end the football kind, so let's talk about Sam LaPorta of the Detroit Lions. A great rookie season in 2023. Now, in 2024, he's the current tight end 2 overall in the preseason consensus rankings. This is the third second-year player in this video. That is absolutely nuts. But as a rookie, LaPorta finished as the tight end 1 overall. Now, for sure, it definitely helps that Travis Kelce struggled, TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL, Mark Andrews missed 6 games, but we gotta give this kid a little bit of respect. 120 targets, 86 receptions, 889 yards, and 10 touchdowns as a rookie tight end is absolutely great. Now sure, in 2024, Detroit wants to use Jameson Williams a little bit more down the field, and that could eat into some of the target share of Sam LaPorta, but if you haven't paid attention for the last few years, the Detroit offense is pretty damn good and it's very high-powered. They're going to throw the ball a lot. They're in an offense that can support this many pass catchers. Now, there aren't going to be many other changes in Detroit. The offense, it's going to remain super similar, and they've been nothing but productive for multiple years. So we can really look at this in 2 different ways. Can Sam LaPorta be the tight end 1 overall in fantasy football once again in 2024 like he was in 2023? That may be a little bit tough, but can he definitely repeat the overall production once again this season? 100% he can. My eggplant is at full explosion level here for Sam LaPorta, going 5 out of 5 eggplants. So you gotta remember, a lot can change from year to year. When you're doing your fantasy football research, don't just look at last year's production and expect the same this year. There's so many things to take into account. Free agency, the NFL draft, trades, injuries, everything changes almost every month in the NFL, but that's why you pay attention to these guys all offseason, so when your fantasy football draft comes around, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Now, before we get out of here for the day, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already, and consider subscribing for all things NFL all year long. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day though, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.